Aya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Today, on account of Independence Day, we'll be discussing a special topic. Are we really independent? The United States of America gained independence on July 4th, around 250 years ago, 1776, from the British, just like India did. And a lot of blood was shelled in this process. There was a great war, American Revolutionary War. Similarly, in India, British was or India was freed from the British in 1947, and many freedom fighters were involved. Mahatma Gandhi, Subhash Chandra Bose, Bhagat Singh, so many people, hundreds of wonderful warriors. Throughout the world, people have fought to make their countries, communities even, or fought for injustice, discrimination, and got their communities, their countries, their group of people independence, quote unquote independence. So we have traveled a lot after the colonization period, suppression period, racism period. The world has developed a lot. But still, you see, for example, United States, even though it is the richest country, the free country, when the statistics was done about the happiness, the world's happiness ranking, it came behind many poorer nations like Costa Rica, Lithuania. It's ranking behind them. And India, after its freedom, now the ranking taken in 2024, it ranks 126th out of 146 countries on the World Happiness Index. So clearly, freedom does not translate to happiness. Richness does not translate to happiness. Or poorness, poverty does not translate to suffering. Even though we might have become freed from external rule, if you see throughout the world today, some of the startling things that are haunting people, is their digital addictions. So today, an average person spends more than 7 hours a day on the screens, mostly mindlessly scrolling. So externally, we may be free, but internally, we are bound by the cell phone. That's why the cells are called in the jail, they are called cells. They're bound within the cell. We are bound outside, but within the cell phone. It seems typically a person checks the phone 96 times a day. That is once every 10 minutes, including even the sleep hours. And people struggle. Like, for example, if you have teenagers, try to take out the phone from them and see how much they react. They cannot live one day without the phone. Not just phone, but in the name of freedom and corporate culture and city culture, free to sense gratification, in the name of housing, we have to work 10 hours every day, travel. Now, I know colleagues, when work from home was taken out, They had to, they bought homes in a far distant place and they have to come 2 hours each way sometimes because of traffic. Why they have to drive? Because they have big houses, they have to pay EMIs, they have to pay bills. So one car, the bumper sticker, it read like this: I owe, off to work I go. Because he owes and owes, therefore he has to go and work and pay that. A middle class man, a poor man, anyway, is working hard for his daily bread. A middle class man is working hard for his hope of acquiring a good house, next better life. And even a rich man is working hard. One might think rich man doesn't have to work hard. The rich man is working hard to keep his status as rich. How other person should not overtake me? Where to invest this? How to distribute this? So many anxieties. So we may have political freedom, but we are not really free from our thoughts, our egos. Maya always puts something or the other in the minds. As long as we are not God conscious, Krishna conscious, Maya always keeps coming up with hurdles in our path. We will never be free. We may be politically attained freedom, but culturally, what about cultural freedom? Like, for example, India always imitates the West. There is always coolness factor. Oh, if you go outside not wearing a particular kind of dress, you appear to be primitive, uncool. There's always social bondage, isn't it? There is always a sense of social belonging. So you're bound by that social bondage, peer pressure. Oh, you ask the teenagers, why teenagers? You have so many examples in your own family, everyday life. So much of peer pressure, social pressure to belong. Even the elders, when you call them, you will find, hey, they have built so many houses. What are you doing? In those days, people used to live in village. They worked in their own village in a farm. They had families together. They had entertainment every day in the evening based on wonderful histories, our own rich histories. They didn't have to travel so long. They didn't have to pay EMIs. They just had cow and farm and nice food. Annad bhavanti bhutani, Krishna says. Your real happiness is based on food grains, not by industries. Krishna himself is showing the example. He eternally lives in the village, tending the cows. Of course, he also showed the example of how a city should be run, like a Dwaraka, Mathura. There were also cities in those days. Affluence was there, but the center was Krishna. Center was God consciousness. We cannot run away to villages, but we can make our life simple. We can, even though we got politically free, we can still become free from all these bondages, cultural bondages, sensual bondages, emotional bondages. Like I was like shocked to see the statistic among teenagers in the America. 1 in 3 girls seriously considered committing suicide. And similar, of course, not 1 in 3, but small, slightly lesser percentage among boys as well. So why these things are happening? In our childhood, there was no concept of depression, isn't it? The more we are becoming advanced, the more depression is coming out as a major problem. Because if the mind is not properly engaged, you are always on computer, lonely, without interaction. You always used to dopamine, instant gratification. And the moment there is no instant gratification, the mind will become depressed. Bhagavad Gita says, gratification, if you go for a gratificatory life, it appears like nectar in the beginning, but it turns to be poison in the end. Yattadagre vishamiva pariname amrutopamam tat sukham satvikam proktam atmabuddhi prasadajam. What happiness that appears to be like poison in the beginning, the spiritual happiness, austerities, meditation, self control, but it turns like nectar in the end because the limit, there is no limit to higher happiness, spiritual happiness. It only grows. Whereas material happiness, Vishayendriya samyogad yattadagre amrutopamam pariname vishamiva tat sukham rajasam smrutam. In the beginning, it appears to be very happy, sense gratifying, but pariname vishamiva eventually turns to be poison. The result is depression. The old age, you cannot enjoy the senses anymore. There is frustration in life, loneliness in life. Earlier I had one devotee friend, little elderly. He used to work in this paramedics team. So he would tell in when we meet in the temple. So many times they get this 911 call and they go, and most often, not most often, but many cases they find these old people, they call 911, and it's not a life threatening emergency, but they feel so depressed that they feel like dying. They would feel death is better. They feel so lonely. There's nothing to look forward to in their life. There's nobody to talk to. Nobody even knocks their door. And they want somebody to come and sit and talk to them. Therefore, they call 911. So that is Visham, Vishamiva. Pariname Vishamiva. So we have our choice. Either choose nectar in the beginning or poison in the beginning. Many times when I discuss this Krishna consciousness with some colleagues or those who are not very mature, when we go to India and try to meet some family and they see, we are practicing this kind of things. Hey, this time has changed. There is time for it, and you should enjoy life. And those were the times when people didn't know how to enjoy life, didn't know technological advancement and how one can enjoy life like this. They were living based on primitive understanding, that kind of things. We are free from, we are not bound. We don't have kings, monarchs. So don't submit yourself. Be free. Enjoy. So when Prabhupada was also asked similar question, he said, he pointed to a dog. He said, this dog, it is barking. It is protecting its street, a street dog. And somebody comes in, it starts to bark. And it's running here and there, thinking he is the king and he has freedom to bark. But after all, it's a street dog. It's a stray dog. It struggles for its life for shelter, for food. It's at the mercy of people hitting with rocks. It's a precarious life it is leading, but it's thinking that he is the greatest free person, fully anxious, fully in trouble. So just by merely barking, or just like the dog is going here and there, we are also taking our cars, going to work and coming back, or going somewhere, coming back without any purpose. How free we are, really. We also shout, we also do so many crazy things without any regulation. How is it different from a dog barking? No, the dog may not know technological advancement. The dog doesn't know how to enjoy. No. Ultimately, these are the four things we are doing. How different we are from the dog: eating, sleeping, mating, defending. The dog also has similar happiness. It may do on the street. In fact, we are not able to enjoy like these animals. The animal can eat without worrying about diabetes, obesity, dental problems, sleep problems. The dog sleeps so happily, mates so happily, defends with its claws. You're not even able to do those properly, and we think we are free. See, Bhagavad Gita says, the scriptures say that our actual freedom means dependent freedom. Yes, we are independent jivas, but our real independence is as long as we remain dependent. How is it? It's a paradoxical thing. How can we be independent when we are dependent? I'll give two examples. Let's say a small child is being taken care by the father and mother nicely in his house, and he is happy. He can run around in the house, in the park, he can play, eat, wherever he can go wherever, but provided he is dependent on the parents. He is within the boundary of the dependence. He's doing things based on their control. But the moment he steps out, no, I want to be independent. I don't want to be dependent on my parents. Just imagine his life. Likewise, when you purchase a car, it may be a Ferrari, it may be the most advanced, having higher speed limits. Can you just come out on the street and drive as whatever you want? No, you have to be dependent. You have to abide by the law of the state. The moment you go little higher speed, you get the ticket. The moment you do something out of the ordinary, you'll get caught. That means within the limit, you are free. You can move the lanes, you can go up to that speed, you can go wherever you want, following the traffic laws. Or the other example, you pay the taxes, you are a free citizen. Or you obey the law of the government, you are a free citizen. Otherwise, you are in trouble. So, our independence is really a dependent independence. It's never a free independence. Similarly, the scriptures say that if we follow the dependence on God, follow the regulative principles given in the scriptures, just like we have regulations of the state, we have the regulations given in the scriptures. We have to abide by that. Otherwise, we become bound. Just like you don't pay the tax, you go to the jail. Similarly, if you disobey these commandments of the scriptures, the regulative principles, you have to suffer the consequences of the nature's punishment. That is why we have this adhyatmic, adhibhautik, adhidaivik kleshas. Means kleshas because of our own body and mind, troubles, troubles because of neighbors and other living entities, and troubles by nature, disasters, because we don't follow the regulative principles. When Prabhupada, he was also actually a freedom fighter. He was taking Gandhian principles and Swaraj and doing things only Indian and those kind of things. So one time he went to meet Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. His friend took him, "Hey, let's go meet this sadhu, genuine sadhu." So Prabhupada went and he was asking a lot of questions. How can your movement help? First, India needs independence. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, this Krishna consciousness is the most important, urgent necessity of mankind. It transcends independence. People may become dependent on British today, but tomorrow they will become dependent on some government putting some controls, policies. Whether there is British or some government or somebody else, ultimately we are bound by our senses. We are serving our senses. As long as we remain addicted to our sense gratification, we are always bound. There is no independence. And Prabhupada was very convinced. And as I said, after independence also, there is so much of trouble. So many horrible incidents are happening throughout the world. In India, so much horrible incidents. When I went to meet one donor, he was questioning why God had let that woman be attacked and by so many people like that. She was shouting for help and nobody came. Where is God? So a woman cannot even go safely, cannot work safely in one place. Is that really independence? Of course, why God let it happen, we are not going to go to that topic. It's another topic on its own. We are misusing our independence. Just like, I give you, I can sell you a knife in my shop, assuming that you will use the knife for a good purpose, cutting vegetables, or a doctor uses the knife for cutting the body, but to cure the disease. But if you go rampantly misuse that knife, how is the shop owner responsible? So, anyway, that's a different topic. But my point is, as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur conveyed, real independence is Krishna consciousness, by following which you'll really become freed from this tribulation of the sensual bondage or any kind of bondage. The real bondage is the bondage of lust. अथ प्रयुक्तोऽयं पापं चरति पूरुषः अनिच्छन्नपि वार्ष्णेय बलादिव नियोजितः. Arjuna says, this lust actually makes us do crazy things, even though by force, even though I don't want. So we are really servants of lust. We are really bound by lust so strongly. Kamadinam katina katita palita durnidesha. I keep serving the lust, but it doesn't let me go. But it is said, only by Krishna consciousness. Utsrujjaitan atha etad sampradam lagda labdha buddhis. Because I got some good intelligence. Tvamayatam sharanam abhayam mam niyungshvatma dasye. Please engage me in your service. Instead of serving the senses, please engage me in your service. When we serve Krishna, Hrishikena Hrishikesha Sevanam, we can overcome the servitude to the senses. And when you come to that state, you get the real higher taste. As I said, in the beginning, Vishaya, it appears like control, exertion of, our discipline, studying scriptures, following the spiritual master, chanting the holy name according to regulative principles. But then when you start to experience the higher taste, you will overcome the lower taste of serving the senses. And at that time, even though we may be bound, like how Prahlad Maharaj was bound, and he was meted out so many difficulties, but still internally he was transcendentally happy. He said, I don't have any issues. Because tadvirya gayana mahamruta magna chittaha. The moment I think about you and your pastimes, mahamruta magna chitta, my mind is completely immersed in mahamruta, nectarian happiness. So you can be bound externally, but internally you'll be free. Ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. So bhakti means uninterrupted and no material conditions cannot stop it. Or Vasudeva Devaki, they were bound, but they gave rise to Krishna. Krishna came out through them. So we may be bound, but our mind should generate Krishna. Then, by that power, we really become independent. That is true independence. Becoming servant of Krishna is our true independence. We overcome all these material tribulations. That is a solution for all the problems people face in this world. Ultimately, we go back to Godhead, engage in eternal service, become completely freed from this either external bondage or internal sensual bondage. I'll stop here. Anyone has any questions or comments?